Welcome, 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 everybody, to Beyond the Veil. I am Adina. I am glad to see you this Saturday, um, this early Saturday. I know that you guys are well. I am praying for you. I pray for you. I have sent out my love, blessings, and well wishes to all of you guys. So receive it this morning. Receive, receive. All right, Piers Morgan. Let's chat. Now, in my Beyonce reading, I stated that their issue or the issue wasn't really Jaguar making these accusations. She's been consistently making these accusations. Excuse me if my hands are ashy. I just took a shower and Florida watered my hands and didn't lotion them. Anyways, but the problem is that she's been given a mainstream platform. And that is the real problem behind the scenes, is that the tide seems to be turning against Jay-Z and Beyonce. Now, while I did know that Piers Morgan issued an apology, based on the clip that I saw right after doing the apology, he went right into covering Diddy and his trial. Now, I've taken media classes before, and I've taken many psychology classes before, not just the one that you do, as an elective in high school. I've done psychology 1, 2, 3, and I've taken a free psychology class, or a couple free psychology classes from one from Harvard, and there was another one, but on Coursera.com, you can get free or certificate classes from Ivy League universities for free. Anyways, I have done that just because I am a studier. I'm an education girl. I like to know. Knowledge is power to me. But anyways, that was a form of what I call media magic. And after, having to address the legal ramifications of what his platform did by allowing Jaguar to make those remarks about Jay-Z and Beyonce, it's almost as if he doubled down on his stance and the tea that was spilled by going directly from Jay-Z and Beyonce and apologizing for those statements directly into Diddy. That you already have Beyonce and Jay-Z in the forefront of your mind, and the allegations that Jaguar made about them, which is why he's apologizing. But while it's fresh in your mind, he ties in P. Diddy and his arraignment and his indictment. That while Jay-Z and Beyonce is fresh on your mind, if he really wanted to disassociate himself from the statements, he might have led into another story in between Jay-Z and Beyonce to give a buffer before he went into Diddy. But no, he wanted us to continue to think about Beyonce and Jay-Z with P. Diddy. So he segued right into P. Diddy. I caught that. And I peeped what it is. And so that made me curious about how Piers Morgan really feels about Beyonce and Jay-Z, because he did give that platform. And only when he got pushed legally did he retract. Otherwise, me doesn't think that he would have. So let's call Piers up and see how he feels about the whole thing. I also told you guys that Beyonce was going to be pushing her weight around behind the scenes. And while the outcome of that reading was the 5 of Cups, I said that she was going to regret the actions that she was taking. The 5 of Cups was the apology. But I also do think that in the court of public perception, they're still even more as guilty now for the way they've been moving. At least a lot of people have been saying that. And so I do think that in the long run, even though that apology to the mainstream seemed, like the right thing to do, again, the mainstream media or the mainstream audience that Beyonce and Jay-Z was trying to protect their image in front of, not us. The mainstream is who they want to protect their image in front of. Now The damage is done. They've already seen on a network that they watch that you guys have dealings with Diddy. And even though Piers apologized, the damage is already done by you being associated with P. Diddy in this type of way in the mainstream. So, Most High Mother and Father God, please allow me to call up the spirit, the soul of Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan, come, Piers, Piers. Piers Morgan, Piers. He says, oh, this is new. Piers Morgan, Piers. He seems like he's seen all kinds of rituals going on in Hollywood, but he's never experienced this. Piers Morgan, come. Piers Morgan, I call up your spirit, your soul, all that comes with it. And I ask that you speak from your soul's truth. Keep absolutely nothing hidden from me. Spill your soul, spill your guts. Piers Morgan, how do you feel about Jay-Z and Beyonce threatening you with legal action? How do you feel about Jay-Z and Beyonce forcing you or forcing your hand to issue them an apology and take down your Jaguar Wright interview? How do you feel about Jay-Z and Beyonce in general? How do you feel about the interview you did with Jaguar Wright? How do you feel about Jay-Z and Beyonce sending their legal team to threaten you to take the interview down, causing you to issue them an apology? Piers Morgan, are you really apologetic? Do you really wish you hadn't have aired that interview? Or do you stand on what you did? How do you really feel about Jay-Z and Beyonce threatening you with legal action if you don't take your video down? How did you feel about that Jaguar Wright interview and her accusations, Piers Morgan? In Piers's mind, he was doing his job. And his job is to, I guess, have the kind of platform where, according to mainstream, he exposes things. In his mind, he was doing his job by interviewing Jaguar. It also seems that he is onto a developing story. I guess the P. Diddy story, he wants to cover P. Diddy, his case, and all of the new developments that come behind it. The challenge is this interview was a very hot interview. It went viral, allegedly, so it did numbers. It was a very lucrative interview, and Piers seems to be interested in or dedicated to following any piece of evidence that he can to break something big. It seems like he's following this P. Diddy story to break something big. And he's going to follow any pentacle that comes out, any real tangible evidence or any real tangible thing that he gets his hand on from this P. Diddy situation that seems like it will lead to the next big story. And that's what this Jaguar interview was for him. It seems as though either his network has ignored certain things in the past about maybe these sorts of people. There's something that there's a story here, or there's some tea, either that Piers has been ignoring or the media in general has been ignoring about certain people, the mainstream media. Maybe because that wasn't their audience. So they've been ignoring gossip or certain things that has been on the gossip meal. Also things that wasn't conducive to their mainstream media audience. That was in the past though. So they're no longer ignoring things that they see on gossip sites anymore, since those stories have now turned into a big thing. Seems like either Piers or the mainstream media isn't willing to just outright dismiss and ignore social media fodder anymore, because it's turned out to be a big thing. In the near future, it seems like either with Piers or with the Carters, they are going to be doing their rounds to hush any stories that may come out about them. It doesn't even seem like they'll be willing to give Jaguar a social media platform anymore, or allow her to do her social media runs. It seems like now that they were successful in getting Piers Morgan to take down his interview, that set a precedent, and nobody will be able to just air gossip fodder about the Carters anymore, or Piers will not be airing certain gossip anymore unless it is fact, like what's going on with P. Diddy. This couple is sticking together, and they are more powerful together. There seems to be relationships that they have that went over Pierce's head. So it doesn't feel like this was a Piers decision. This feels like this was an upstairs decision, because Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Co. and their team seem to be banding together and using their collective power together. There seems to be a relationship that Jay-Z and Beyonce have, or a power that they have that they called in, or that's acknowledged, that is more important than Piers running this story. So the decision for him to pull it came from upstairs, from a higher entity than Piers. He doesn't seem like he was interested in taking it down. Piers seemed to have gone and done his own thing. It's something that the network maybe I'll say it like this. It seems that Piers he was kind of thrown out to the wolves, in the sense where these type of stories is his thing. And it seems that the network was originally behind him. But once the Carters started pushing their weight around, the network was like, oh no, we support you guys 100%. We will make Piers shut it down. Piers, you better shut it down, take it down, issue an apology. But this isn't their normal behavior. Normally they would have been 10 toes down behind Piers about this. But they had to abandon Piers in this and pretend like they wouldn't necessarily be with this when they did support him in airing this interview. Remember, it wasn't taken down until some legal action was taken in order to force their hand. Nobody else was interested in taking that down. And this all came about because of Piers digging into the Diddy files. I'll call it the Diddy files for now. Again, Piers is allowing whatever comes out of this Diddy tree that's been shaken. He's going to take it and run with it, because anything is a hot topic that comes out of the Diddy situation. It seems like Piers knows the type of man that Diddy was behind the scenes. So he knows what stories to follow that would be lucrative. The problem is that these allegations continue. Even if you guys make Piers take it down, the conversations now have picked up steam around his interview. So Piers doesn't mind having to take it down because the damage was done. His network got the numbers. They got the publicity surrounding breaking that story with Jaguar. And even after having to apologize, that only fueled conversation. It did better for Piers and his cause, because obviously he doesn't like being told by Jay-Z and Beyonce what he can't report on. And he likes the fact that these conversations are keep going. And it was definitely purposeful that right after he had to address Jay-Z and Beyonce in that interview, taking it down and apologizing for it, he starts speaking immediately about P. Diddy and his legal situation. That was on purpose because the conversations are there. And Piers has his way of continuing the conversations without getting himself legally involved in anything. And he will continue to do so. And the stories will continue to persist. And Piers is a media guy. I feel that he may be putting batteries in other media outlets, not mainstream, but smaller ones that aren't lucrative enough for Jay-Z and Beyonce to go after, but they're like grassroots. They have their boots on the ground. They're not mainstream, but they have an influence. He can absolutely support smaller outlets that are reporting this, that he knows that Beyonce and Jay-Z can and won't go after. They're too numerous, they're too small, they're too many. Those are the ones that they'll just let ride because they're not mainstream. But it seems like eventually those outlets will become the voice for the truth, and mainstream will continue to get their tea and their information through the smaller social media platforms that have their ear to the streets. Those will be the ones that the celebrities and their legal teams can't really control because there are too many of them. And they'd be fighting with the whole social media. Hopes and fears is the children. I don't know if this is a hope and fear for Piers. This feels more like a hope and fear for Beyonce and Jay-Z and celebrities who don't want to be attached to Diddy. It's not so much about being attached to the freak offs. Nobody wants to be attached to the allegations about child trafficking. And it seems like the more Piers gives this story a platform, the more he's willing to tie in entertainment, hip-hop celebrities, black celebrities into this BS. That's why Jay-Z and Beyonce went after that interview with Piers. He has the ability to give them mainstream attention, and they don't want to be tied to the child stuff. That's their fear. I see palms being greased, favors being done in, including in the legal system. The outcome for Piers Morgan and how he feels is that exactly what he said. He did this because he knows that they have money to sue, and he knows that he and the network have something to lose, and that's why they're taking this up with him and not Jaguar. And so what he did was to avoid being sued and having to settle with the Carters or pay anything with the Carters. But the outcome is that the only reason of him doing what he did is because of any legal, see the justice scale, legal and monetary consequences. It has nothing to do with his respect for them. I also see favors. Favors. Favors or the network feeling like we'd be better off not throwing Jay-Z and Beyonce further under the bus on this one, because maybe the network's hands aren't completely clean and everything, or they just don't want to fight the Carters in court. It seems like Piers might have eventually, or the Carters didn't want Piers to get into any separation rumors about them, or what it seems to be, like I said, the Carters are stronger together right now while they're in survival mode. But the Carters feel like there is a wedge between them that is there, but the public can't be aware that there is a real wedge between them right now, because their survival, at least the Carters feel like their survival depends on them working together. Although there is a lot coming between them in real life. I'm not talking about the image that they portray together and stronger together. Behind the scenes, there is a lot driving itself in between the Carters. And if they allow too big of a wedge publicly to go between them, they won't be able to survive all of the exposés going on in Hollywood. There's something where if Piers were to continue to investigating and looking into the Carters, there's some cracks in their foundation that would have continued to be exposed and continued to crack open. I will say that the outcome is the Carters being stronger together than they are apart. And they're working overtime right now together. They need to work together to save each other, because both of their reputations are on the line. They need to join forces, and that's what they have done. And the only reason Piers did the apology was because, like I said, of legal and financial consequences that would have come, because he knows if he continues to investigate, there's something there going on with Beyonce and Jay-Z that they don't want anybody to look into. Seems like they feel, or at least Beyonce, I can see her feeling like everybody's helping or working together to take Jay-Z down, along with other powerful men in the industry. There were some cases that I believe Jay-Z and Beyonce have fought or challenged behind the scenes that we don't know about. They could have overcome these allegations, crushed them. I'm going to say that Piers is definitely interested into seeing what he couldn't continue to expose being exposed. He thinks following this story is a big thing. And if he, him breaking Jaguar, doing her interview, that was a great interview to do. It was great for the network, great for the views. And I don't think that Piers does not believe Jaguar Wright. In fact, I think that he believes her more than he doesn't. It seems that he feels he has good reason to believe Jaguar and to have given her platform a light at this time. He chose to do it at this time because in the past there has been, again, that Four of Cups ignoring the Jaguar Wright stories until now. Until he started investigating Diddy, and something about his interest in investigating the Diddy stuff made him feel like giving Jaguar Wright that platform now, because he thought that something that could come out could tie into what Jaguar said on his platform and make him, a front line of a leader on this case that he could break. The Diddyfying of Jay-Z, that would have been his thing to break. But he's going to, toe the line because he understands how these things work, and he doesn't feel like it'll do him any good to fight them now when the damage from his initial interview was already done to them, and he already got the benefits of it. So he doesn't mind apologizing. The damage is done. He did what he had to do for the sake of business and court. Okay? That's how he feels about it. He's thinking about these things very business-wise. He's not emotionally invested. And that's what I have on Piers Morgan. Love you guys. Bye.